to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Cam.
Hello again.
All right, guys, we're back. This is the spoiler talk for Dark Phoenix. Look, if you haven't seen this movie or you don't want it spoiled for you, this is not the episode to listen to and or watch, depending. But if you want to hear all the gruesome details that we're going to talk about and our thoughts on it, again, we are talking spoilers like all the time. So here you go. We had already talked about, you can watch our review or listen to our review. We both hated it because like we have eyes and shit. But why did we hate it is a bigger deal. So what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about Jessica Chastain's character?
Okay, so going into this movie, there were wild theories out there. I mean, just crazy theories. She was going to be like Emma Frost from the future. She was going to, which doesn't make any sense because Emma Frost is fucking dead in this universe.
Yeah, she died in First Class.
They killed her in a movie already, but whatever. That was one thought. Stupid. There were thoughts that she might be Mastermind. I saw a lot. Or Mastermind's daughter, or whatever the fuck her name is. I can't even remember off the top of my head. There were thoughts. I know one of the guys that we saw, Chris. He was which a good thought. It would have been better. Yeah. It would have been better if it would have been his thought that it was like Jean Grey from the future, like somehow projecting herself back as a ghost. Or
it was that he was. I don't think he had seen this or something. I think he was just speculating that it was the Phoenix Force.
That's what it was. Yeah, sorry.
Like a humanized version, like talking to her internally.
And here's the thing. When he said that, I was like, oh, that's so dumb. I hope they don't do that. That's a lazy cop-out. You know what? No. Wish they would have done that.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, guys. So for anyone who has read the Dark Phoenix saga, as you know, when Jean Grey gets the Phoenix Force brought into her in space, which doesn't make any sense in this movie because she had the Phoenix Force. She fucking did a Phoenix flare in Apocalypse. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. That's never mentioned, of course.
No, they just...
In fact, Apocalypse in general is not mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, so many people died in that movie.
I guess they were just like, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the past.
Oh, yeah. And so that's one thing I guess we can say. Like, it's 1992, so it's not... Apocalypse was 83, I think. Yeah. So this is like 9 years later. Whatever, who cares? They don't seem to care, so who cares? But yeah, so in the comic book... When she gets that, one of the first thing that she does is just runs through this planet and like destroys the planet, kills almost everyone. It's part of the Shi'ar Empire, and that's how we set up like everything in the actual Dark Phoenix saga in the comic books, which was another thing that people thought Jessica Chastain might be is which again, that would have been fine. Sure, that would have been fine. But instead, so the race of human/plant species that is on this planet, they were non-violent in the comics, not warriors, nothing like that. They were the Dabaris. Well, guess what? That's who Jessica Chastain and her stupid people are in this movie. They're the Dabari aliens, which again, makes no sense. It's not earned at all, because why are the Dabari chasing the Phoenix Force? Could we have at least seen the Phoenix Force run through their planet and destroy it? Could we have seen that? Sure, we could have, if they cared at all.
Right, but and that was the thing that was really weird. It's like these folks show up and then they have like powers that are not
their power is plot device.
Yeah, it's like they have like weird disembowelment powers.
Yeah.
They're shapeshifters.
Some of them are immune to gunfire to an extent, but then other ones die really quickly.
They're immune to gunfire, but not 50 cal gunfire. Like that was the thing. They were like, whoa, these bullets are too big.
Yes,
so that was weird. Like their powers, and then like they could run really fast, and they were...
Yeah, but they ran weird. They ran like the Flash in the DC universe. Like... Yeah.
It
was weird.
I didn't understand. It was like they were on rigs and they just couldn't, like the rig was tied to each limb and it was moving them. Like it was fucking odd. And then they're like weirdly strong. Some of them can leap to helicopters and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was bizarre.
But it was a whole thing. And when they showed up, I leaned over to you because when they show up, they're green. You're not 100% because that was another working theory is that they were going to be Skrulls.
Well, they were supposed to be originally.
That they were going to be Skrulls and Jessica Chastain was going to be the Skrull Queen. By the way, she's a character named Vuk it doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. It doesn't matter. That character is a character in the comics.
She is.
No, he is.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's a him in the comics. They changed it. Which again, who cares?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Matter.
No.
None of these characters matter at all.
No.
But yeah, so they land on Earth right after the space mission, which we'll get into, of course.
Eesh.
But they land on Earth. It's these three bright lights, these three bright lights that land on Earth in different areas, but somehow they all like come into the same forest at the same time to get after because Jessica Chastain, she's a woman. She's just a woman in the movie that goes out to see what her dog is barking at.
And then they just kill her, basically.
Yeah, gets killed by these aliens. The alien shapeshifts into her, and I lean over and I go, I swear to God, are they actually doing the scrolls? Because this is offensive if they are.
Yeah.
But no, they go in the house. She like just somehow like disembowels her husband, but it's like inside of him as like it's weird. Doesn't make any sense.
The powers make no sense. So that pops off and so she's trying to attain the Phoenix Force or go after Jean Grey, right?
Yeah, and the idea
that's her entire motivation for the movie.
And again, the idea is that their planet has been destroyed, which
they don't even say that.
She just says that she wants to build a new planet. Yeah, a new planet. So you can surmise their planet was probably destroyed by the Phoenix Force. Again, just like in the comics. But why not just say that? Like, why not? Here's the thought, guys. When Jean Grey gets the Phoenix Force brought into her, why not have it? Because there's an explosion. Why not have that explosion destroy a nearby planet?
And then you would know. Yeah.
Why don't we do that? And then have these people be off-world. They arrive and go, what happened? Somehow they figure out that it's I'm
why?
writing an actual movie here.
No, you know why they didn't put that in there?
Because Simon Kinberg sucks.
Well, yes, and they didn't have the money. They were like, that's like $75. You're like, let's just No,
that's true.
They'll figure it out.
No, it's such a lazily written and shot movie. Like again, as we mentioned in the non-spoiler review, Jessica Chastain could not have cared less. Like she showed up to set. I feel like this is very much like the joke from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where when they show up in the dressing room or whatever, and James Vanderbeek and the pie fucker are there, Jason Biggs, and Jason Biggs is like, wait, there's a script? Like, I feel like Jessica Chastain did that. Like, she showed up on set, and they were like, hey, so you're ready to go? And she's like, yeah, is there like a script here? What are we doing? Am I
just gonna fuck a pie? Don't worry about it. Like, it's not a big deal.
Are we just riffing? What are we doing?
And like, so the funny thing is, as inconsequential as her character is, you then have Jennifer Lawrence, who is made to be such a big deal in this franchise.
Jesus Christ.
And she fucking dies in the first 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Which was great. It was my favorite scene. I cheered.
Yeah, no. So you laughed. I golf clapped. Like, nobody in the... Like, here's the thing. When Tony Stark died... And I'm not saying that Mystique is Tony Stark, but... For this universe,
she's the Tony Stark of this universe.
Like for this universe, she kind of is. Like she's one of the more important characters for these four movies,
which is insane.
She's one of the only people who's in all four movies. Yeah. Her death should be huge.
It really is.
It should be massive. Like, it should be like Tony Stark dying, or at the very least, it should be like Black Widow dying. Like, it should be a big deal that people care about. Like, at least, if not even in the movie, we should care about it. We should be like, oh shit, they killed Mystique?
Yeah.
But no, when they killed her, I golf clapped, you laughed, and all we went was, man, that was maybe a little too graphic. Like it was really graphic.
She gets impaled, and they don't show it for a while, and she's just like, and then the camera pans out, and it's just like fucking blood, and this thing jabbed. I was like, wow.
No, okay. There is just splintered wood just sticking out of her chest, alien style. Yeah. Like it is. It was shot. I was surprised they showed that. It's really out of the blue for this movie, in which, I mean, don't get me wrong, like people are getting murked, like left and right. Like Nightcrawler at one point snaps a kid's neck with his tail. Yeah, that was pretty dope. It was awesome. Like people are getting killed, but in traditional X-Men fashion, I mean, even in the comics for the most part, there's almost no blood ever. Like, I mean, there's almost no blood. and it's PG-13, so you understand why.
Right.
But yeah, in this moment, for some reason,
Simon Kinberg's like, we're doing it.
like, it is just like, no, she doesn't want to turn blue. Fuck her. Let's get as graphic as we can on her death.
Yeah, it was really strange. Like the thing that really bothered me about that death, like you said, it should have had more impact, and it absolutely didn't. Like, in this universe, she's seen as this like universal hero. Like, she was the mutant hero.
There's a poster on the wall in the desert in Egypt with that Storm looks up to.
Right. So you have her die, she dies, and then it's just like, there's just a funeral with like the X-Men that you know, and like, that's it. Yeah. None of the other kids in the school are there. Oh, no one is there.
I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, you're right.
No one else is there. It's like 6 other people, and they're just like, this is sad. And then they bury her, and it's a wrap. It's a fucking wrap. And you never, like, there's one scene after it with Nicholas Hoult and Professor X, James McAvoy, and they're discussing it. Nicholas Hoult gets pissed off at him, rightfully so, and he smacks the alcohol out of his hand or whatever. And, like, that's it. It doesn't really deal with her death at all.
Yeah, other than a little bit with the Magneto stuff, because
he finds out.
Yeah, of course, like, Magneto finds out and he's pissed, and it makes sense in that regard. But really, like, Beast and Magneto are like the only people in this movie who
give a fuck,
who care, like, at all, that Mystique is dead. Like, Professor X doesn't even really care that much.
No, he's like he's just
I
met her in this room. That was crazy, man.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that sucks. Here's some bourbon. Yeah, like, and that's
it was weird. That's it. It was very weird. So, all right, so let's talk about the action sequence with the space rescue.
Yeah, no,
was fine.
Before we even get there, before we get to the action sequence, so as we all know, they're heroes in this movie. They're heroes of the world.
Good. I'm glad you actually moved back. Yeah.
To the point where Professor fucking X has a bat phone to the President of the United States in his study in the X mansion.
It just has an X on it. Like,
everything has an X on it. Yeah. The Blackbird has an X on the top of it. On the top of it, that no one will ever see, there is a silver X for no reason whatsoever. Why? Why?
They're like branding. Branding is really important.
No one's ever going to see that. But yeah.
The bat phone to the White House, specifically to the president, literally is completely antithetical to their entire existence as characters.
Not only that,
it made no sense.
It doesn't. So not only does it not make sense in the grand scheme of things, it makes no sense. It doesn't make sense in this universe in which 9 years prior,
they were trying to kill the president, dude.
They were killing everyone in Egypt. Yeah. Like, Egypt is done. It's a wrap. That country doesn't exist anymore in this universe. And I'm not even sure if, like, the continent of Africa exists anymore. Right. And they're just like, well, you know what? I mean, hey, but you stopped Apocalypse, so cheer, cheer.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't... Like, so there's conversations that happen in the movie. You and I talked about this after the film. Like, between like Storm and Mystique and Jean Grey and Cyclops, like, they're all talking. Everyone's like, yeah, you know, they're talking like they're like friends, like lifelong friends. And I'm like, why are they talking like that? They've barely known each other. And Cam goes, well, they've known each other for like 10 years. And I'm like, that's right. I forgot, because the time jumps completely cut out any level of character building for them.
Right.
Everyone's just like, yeah, we're all buddy-buddy. Like, the only reason why we know that Cyclops and Jean are together, like, the only reason why we know is because they go on a space mission and he's sitting behind her, and like, there's turbulence because they're going in space with no helmets or anything. They're just in fucking street clothes back together. And he just touches her shoulder, and it's like, oh, right, their relationship exists. I forgot, because 10 years we haven't known any of this.
Yeah, and in a ship where the guy who built it says it won't fucking go to space.
Right.
Like, he says it won't, because here's the thing with the movie. They finally, and again, Patrick Stewart did a great job playing Professor X, but his character, Professor X, in my opinion, was never really a good Professor X. Like, he was good as Professor X in the scope of like what they wanted him to do. But
he wasn't accurate to the comics.
I hate as a lifelong X-Men fan, I hate Professor X. He's a piece of shit. That guy sucks.
He's a manipulative asshole.
He is terrible. He's so bad. Like, go back and read X-Men comics. with the scope of him being bad, and you're just like, yo, this guy's terrible. Yeah. He is putting children in danger left and fucking right.
He doesn't care.
And this movie finally gets that aspect of the character right.
Yeah.
Like, because
they call him out. They call him out.
Beast is like, yo, we can't go to space. Like, this, my guy, this ship, there's accelerators on it. It's to go forward, not up.
Yeah.
Like, this ship is not going into space. And he's just like, yeah, the president called on the phone, though. He's on the X phone, my guy. We're going to space.
Right. And he's like, just make it work. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy. Yeah. Because they do. Yeah. They're just like, all right.
And then we get to that clip that they set out where Mystique is like, we're going to space. And, Cyclops is like, she's like, does anyone have any questions? Again, Cyclops, the reasonable person here.
I got a couple of questions.
He's like, yeah, about 1,000 questions. She's like, don't have time for that. And he's like, then why'd you ask? Why did you ask if we have questions about going into space if we don't have time for that?
And then, they literally hard cut to them taking off and then just going into space.
No, they're just in space. It all works, even though the guy who built the ship says this won't work. It works. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, I believe in you. That's comic book logic to an extent, so right. I can bypass that. But so they get into space. The ship is...
Yo, this scene makes no sense. It makes no sense.
So the American spaceship is spinning around, and of course they ask Nightcrawler, "Can you bamf in there?" He's like, "It's spinning too fast. I can't see inside the window in the ship."
He literally says that, by the way. I can't see inside the window because apparently in space that'll be enough. I just eyeball it and fucking go. Okay.
So he can't see into it. So Mystique says, "Scott, can you shoot whatever on the ship to stabilize
one of the one of the thrusters out or something?"
Because there is what they say is a solar. Here's the thing: I am not a space expert at all. I know what a fucking solar flare looks like, though. This is a gaseous cloud that looks like Galactus from that terrible Fantastic Four Silver Surfer movie, or Parallax from that terrible Green Lantern movie. Like, clearly,
run. Yeah, you're not supposed to be here.
You mentioned in the non-spoiler review that Kimber just steals shit. Yeah, he stole the whole cloud villain thing, whatever. He stole that. Yeah. And it looks really bad. It's just a pink cloud, whatever. Because Phoenix vagina, I guess. I don't know. But so she's like, "Hey, can you shoot the ship?" Which seems really dangerous. And then
honestly, when he was like, "All right, no problem," I thought, because he started lining up in the middle of the ship, I was like,
yes.
Is he going to shoot through the ship? I was like, that's going to be a problem, guys, because space.
Yep.
But no, he slides down into this other part of the ship, very Batman Begins, right, where he goes into the little part of the Batmobile.
Oh God, yes. I was thinking Millennium Falcon and Han going in the bottom part of the ship and shooting the gun. But yeah, no, it's Batman Begins. You're right.
So he goes into this, he sinks down into this thing, and there is this weapon that just fits over. It's like an eye exam. It fits over his eyes. And he's able to fire his optic blast through this cannon out of the ship and hits it dead on and blows up this thruster so it stops spinning.
And again,
it was ridiculous.
I can't begin... I
groaned.
I listened to you guys talk about, Apocalypse today, which... Guys, if you're not premium, pay your damn $5 to hear Micah's exasperation from having to watch Apocalypse. Which, by the way, Micah, again, I apologize. I'm at fault for that. Whatever. But as you guys mentioned, it's concussive blast, which in this it makes sense because his optic blasts are so poorly written in all of these movies.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Because in Apocalypse, he's destroying trees and doing all this other stuff. So if it's written that same way in this movie, he just blows that ship up. Clearly.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened.
But no, he shoots part of the ship and it slows down long enough for Nightcrawler and Quicksilver to bamf in there. They didn't even feel the need to buy a song for this scene. I hate all of these Quicksilver scenes. This one is the shortest. It's the one that actually, I guess, makes the most sense, really, logically.
Not really, because you don't run in space.
Yeah, but he's not running. So what I mean by makes the most sense is, in Apocalypse, my man is throwing people.
No, that made no sense.
He is throwing people
that weigh strength.
200 pounds, 150 pounds, whatever. He's just chucking them out a window.
Yeah.
At least in this movie, they're weightless. So it does kind of make sense that he can throw them a little bit. But he's also not throwing them very far, and he's not really having to move that much. Like, honestly, they didn't even need him there. Nightcrawler could have bamfed into that ship and done every single fucking bit of this by himself.
Yeah, no, he could have.
Like, he could have done all this by himself. But, so, yeah, he bamfs in, they get him out, they come back, there's still one more guy missing.
Right, and this is the thing that drove me crazy is they have Nightcrawler and Quicksilver bamf in and do this work, right? And then Nightcrawler goes back by himself. But what doesn't make sense is they're never wearing helmets. Until later on.
No, well, yeah, so they don't wear a helmet for the first time, which, again, makes no sense because the ship is falling apart.
Right.
Like,
everyone else is wearing a helmet to survive.
Yeah, it's falling apart. There's no reason why they shouldn't be wearing helmets.
Right.
Because, and again, 5 seconds later, like, and when they bamf back, like, you see Quicksilver take a helmet.
Right.
Which, why? Because here's the thing. It makes sense when they have to go back that he took a helmet. He didn't know they had to go back.
Right.
They had no idea that they were going to have to go back. So why did he take that helmet? Why?
Yeah.
Why, Jay? Why did he take it? Huh? Why?
Because the script. Because the script.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Why you took that helmet?
Why don't you just take it from one of the astronauts in the ship once you got back? Like,
exactly.
Hey, can I borrow this?
Yeah, it makes no sense. So he took a lone helmet back with him, which, again, makes no sense whatsoever.
He wanted a souvenir.
Why do they have a lone helmet? Why? Why do they just have an extra helmet floating around in the ship? Why is that there?
You never know who you're going to meet in space.
And also,
that's so fucking crazy.
Why and where did they get duct tape from? Because Homeboy has duct tape in space. Why?
There's always duct tape in space. You need it.
I guess, whatever. But yeah, so then they get back to the Blackbird, and Quicksilver, like, they figure out they have to go back, and, they're like, Jean is, I can hold the ship together, and, Mystique, of course, is like, not, this is actually, again, when we get into Professor X being a piece of shit.
Right, because Mystique is actually like, no, let's not do this, because it's not worth it, and Professor X is like, we can't just leave one person behind, and he's like, Jean says she can do it, just send that little teenager in there, what do I give a shit?
Well, see, but that's the thing, she's not a teenager.
Right, she's, I don't know, 48, who knows?
She's, like, Jesus, so yeah, I mean, she's probably like 30, give or take, because she's
late 20s.
Because they show her in 1975, she's at least 8. She's at least 8 or 9 in 1975.
In Apocalypse, she would have been like teenage. She would have, like, they went and saw Star Wars. She'd have been like 14 or 15. So she's probably 25, more or less.
Yeah, but whatever.
Still,
but whatever. Fine. This should not be a thing that's happening.
Right.
And again, Mystique is right. Sorry.
Yeah, don't go.
Yeah, sorry. That sucks.
That guy died.
This, again, solar flare is about to engulf that ship. We're getting the fuck out of here. That's what's happening. That sucks for that dude.
Maybe
but we're out of here. Yeah, we're out of here. So, you know what? Maybe he would have been a suitable host for the Phoenix Force. We don't know. We never gave him his chance.
He could have done great things.
Yeah. But anyway, so they bamf back. She holds he takes Jean Grey with her because movie logic, she can't do it from their ship, which is 100 feet away, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that far away, but she can do it from inside the ship, but can't do it from away from the ship. It doesn't make any sense.
But I feel like you're ignoring something, which is they use Storm's powers to freeze the outside of the ship to keep it together as well.
Yes, because as we all know,
it's how weather works.
Weather is in space that she can control.
She can control
somehow. Whatever.
Again, they're not even going, like, I don't mind crazy comic book logic, but you're not even going by the logic of the crazy universe in which you live in. They really only use Storm to have, like, a really shitty fight later on and to make ice cubes at a party.
Oh my God! Yes, she makes ice cubes at a party. Jesus Christ!
They're like, hey, can you?
We'll get there because they're at a they don't have ice at the mansion. They don't just just bring a bucket down.
No, that's why you have Storm.
Yeah, whatever.
This Omega level mutant who's just making fucking
one of the strongest mutants in history, and she's just making fucking ice cubes. Whatever.
So she gets to the Phoenix. She gets the Phoenix power. She comes back. Yeah. They have a party. Dazzler is there,
which doesn't make any sense. Dazzler in the 90s makes no sense.
I don't know why she wasn't in the 80s.
She should have been in the 80s. She should have been in Apocalypse. Or put her in Days of Future Past. Whatever. The 70s or the 80s makes sense. That's when Dazzler was introduced.
Yeah.
That's when she makes the most sense. Also, she's a singer. She doesn't sing. It makes no sense. Like, I don't understand.
She wasn't wearing roller skates.
Other than, and you know what? Here's the thing. I will give them credit. She's comic accurate.
Yeah, they made her. They gave her the fucking
She's got the eye shit. She's got the white. She's got the white jumpsuit on, which again would make more sense in the 80s or the 70s because no one was wearing that shit in the 90s. Like no one was wearing that shit in 92.
No, you weren't. I was. I definitely was.
Okay. All right. So you were in a halter top jumpsuit. You know what? I'm not here to judge.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll admit it. They're at this outside part because again, they go back, they do a health checkup on her, and Hank's like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. It looks weird, but you're fine.
Yeah,
whatever.
You're off the charts."
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. No, your power level is to the point where I can't chart it. This is fine. You're fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
Go back out into Gen Pop. We're good.
Yeah.
Like, we're okay. No reason to do further testing or anything.
Right.
Fuck it.
So she then freaks out, and then, like, the plot gets moving, right? But I want to touch on a couple things, and then we'll get out of here. There are, as I mentioned in the non-spoiler review, there are 3 major action sequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a space sequence, which is fine. It's not very good, but it's fine. Then there is an action sequence in the second act where Jean is with Vuk and these other space aliens.
Sure.
And Magneto and his crew of randos is out to kill her. Because she came to their shitty Genosha and fuck shit up. And so they want to kill her.
It doesn't really make any sense. Like, so, Genosha.
The government
mentions that
the government gave them that land.
Yeah. He killed the entire continent of Africa.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
And the U.S. government just said,
you're good.
We'll give you an entire island.
No, hold on. But no, yeah. He was personally responsible for killing millions of people in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And previously, he tried to kill the president of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, granted, it was Richard Nixon, so maybe you let that slide.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but he did, though. Like, he did. He's a known terrorist.
Is an absolute war criminal. And they just gave him an island to run sovereignly?
Yeah, with other superpowered beings. I just thought that was curious. He didn't take Genosha. He didn't make it his own. He didn't, like...
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense.
And by the way, so this is where we're going to get to a part where I really hate this movie, and I hate you, Simon Kinberg. So I know you listen. I hate you. So one of my favorite villains from New Mutants, which is my favorite X comic property because Magic is my favorite X-Men character. I love her so much, and I love New Mutants so much. There is a character named Selene, who is a psychic vampire, which awesome. Like, she just steals youth to live forever. It's great. She's a great character. She's in this movie.
Is she?
Is she? Well, I mean, it's according to IMDb, yes. And according to Wikipedia, yes. She's in this movie as a bald, somewhat psychic mutant, but she doesn't look anything like what Selene should look. She's essentially, as we talked about, this being just Last Stand, she is just one of the people of color X-Men, or not X-Men, but, mutants that Magneto has in X-Men The Last Stand, who were also named mutants from the comics, but you wouldn't know that because you never heard their name.
Right.
You never hear her name. She is...
Like, minus, like, Multiple Man and stuff like that. Like, but any of the ones that were generic, wearing black leather and had tattoos, you didn't know who they were.
No, she is an amazing character from the comics. She's awesome. And they do nothing with her other than have her stare at James McAvoy.
As they're having a psychic off.
And they're having a psychic battle over control for Nightcrawler.
Which was weird. It's
really, really stupid and really weird. And then his other one is, again, a character from the comics named Red Lotus.
Is it?
Okay. Okay.
Is it?
His powers in the movie don't make any sense because he has braids that he can somehow fight with because he can extend his hair.
Oh, yeah, they're like
whatever.
Braids.
But it makes no sense. Whatever.
That was the closest Fox was ever going to come to doing Omega Red. that was it. Like, that dude was the closest. They were just like, fuck it.
Oh man. Yeah. Again, you know what would have made more sense? Omega Red. Like literally any X-Men villain.
Yeah.
Any X-Men villain.
By the way, that's a villain I want to see show up in the MCU.
Oh my,
so bad.
Oh,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, because let Liev Schreiber just do it. Do a Russian accent or whatever. I don't care. Like I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
just let anyone do it.
So Magneto at this point, he goes to kill Jean. Charles Xavier shows up with his band of merry men. And there's like a fight in the middle of the street. It's not good.
No,
like it's just them fighting on top of like a bus. Like
Magneto pulls a subway up from underneath the street. Why? What are you doing, my guy?
Right. He literally pulled it up to ram it through the opening of a building. You have magnetic powers. You could just open the door. Like you didn't need. It didn't need to be that grand.
No. He walks in. No, he uses the subway to block the entrance from other people getting in, even though he knows that Nightcrawler is out there and can just bamf in through a window.
Right. Like it
doesn't make any sense.
No sense. But okay, so that happens, and then I would argue he immediately gets his shit rocked by Jean Grey, which is actually pretty dope. Like her crushing the helmet and shit like that. That was actually pretty good. But one of the most offensive things I've seen in a comic book movie in quite some time happens. Charles Xavier eventually gets bamfed inside that building because, of course, and he's in his chair and he's giving this speech to Jean, and he's like, "You can overcome this. You can do anything you put your mind to." And she's like, "Oh, anything I can put my mind to? Yeah, that's crazy, dog." And she's like, "Walk to me," and she forces him out of his chair via her mind powers. In the most fucked up, ableist thing I've ever seen, of like him, like his handicapped legs being forced to walk up the stairs. And I don't really give a fuck. I'm not offended by it, but people are going to be offended by this.
Yeah.
And it is really uncomfortable to watch. You're like, this is not okay.
Yeah, no.
It was weird.
Anyone... Like, I feel like anyone
I can't wait for the think piece on that shit. I cannot wait.
The think piece industrial complex is going to be out on this one for sure. For that, and then another thing that I guess we can circle back to, the ex-woman thing at some point.
Yeah, it's a terrible line.
But it's so bad. It looks so bad. Like if you for anyone out there, if you've seen Deadwood, like the Gimp on Deadwood, which again is an offensive character, really offensive, should not exist. Right. But it was the Wild West, so whatever. Yeah. There probably were people like that existed,
of course.
But so if you don't ever want to watch this movie, which I can't blame you, just the way the Gimp walks in Deadwood is how Charles Xavier walked up these steps.
Yeah, it's not okay.
It's really like there are times
I could not believe they did that.
No, there are times when an actor just has to go, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Like, I am not going to be on screen doing this.
No, this
is out of your mind.
This seems like a bad move, and it's a bad look, man.
It's so terrible. It's offensive.
I could not believe they did that. I was like, no, really? Okay.
No. But yeah. So, and again, and this is after. I mean, we've glossed over a little bit, of course, because whatever. But this is after Magneto has found out that Jean Grey killed Raven. Because Beast is snitching ass little bitch, goes to Magneto and is like, "Yo, she killed me." And it's not even that he goes, "Oh, she killed Mystique." He starts talking to him like for some reason Magneto would know that she killed Mystique, and he's just like, "Oh, you didn't know?"
Right?
And it's like, yeah, why would he know?
Dude, I'm on a government sanctioned island.
Yeah, he's on an island by himself. Why the hell? Why would he know?
Right.
Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense why he would know.
And then, of course, in that moment, Fassbender turns away from the camera to shed a couple of tears and then just gives this heartfelt performance. I'm like, you're doing way too much in this shitty movie. Yeah. This movie does not deserve you. It doesn't. It
really doesn't. And again, so at this point in the movie, Jean Grey's done a bunch of fuck shit, and and again, so they are world heroes, even though they shouldn't be. But Jean Grey does all this, fuck shit and starts killing people, And then immediately the U.S. government is like to the point. Professor X calls him up on the phone. He's like, "I'd like to speak to the president." And you just hear this guy goes, "Yeah, this phone doesn't work anymore, B. Sorry." Like,
Click,
no,
and he literally hangs up on him.
We're done. Yeah. We're done. They disconnect it while he's on the phone. Like, it's amazing.
And they're like, we're building mutant internment camps. And you're like, oh, wait, how did we jump from them being world-class heroes to having a fucking X-Men bat phone to internment camps for mutants? Yeah. In 35 seconds, it happened.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That quick.
No, this movie, again, there's no fluff. I will, to the credit of...
You're not waiting on anything.
To the credit of the people who made this movie... And again, I'm sure you're right. It's probably budgetary that they didn't have time for fluff. Yeah. There's no fluff. There's no fat in this movie other than the entire movie being fat. There's no extra fat in this movie.
No, it goes right. It gets right to it.
It is. We don't have time to fuck around. Like, we are getting to the next thing constantly. Yeah. And to its credit, that's good. I mean, you want to get to the end of it, like that. You do.
No, I really did. But
then, of course, we get to the third act, the action scene, and as we all knew, they had said that they had, it was a space battle, whatever. It was too similar to something else. And again, I honestly, at this point,
the talk is that it was supposed to be too similar to Captain Marvel's ending.
Yeah. Then that's what I'm thinking, because I could see it, I guess.
But it would have helped if you had just done that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it would have been better.
Whatever. But so they capture Magneto and everyone except Jean Grey and Vought. They capture all of them. They do capture Jean Grey. No shit. Yeah, Vought is the only one that gets out. It's because Cyclops blows her through the roof.
Yeah, that was fair.
Blows her through the roof of the building. It's amazing. It's a great shot. It's actually really awesome. Yeah. But yeah, so they capture everyone else. They put them on a train because we love trains. We love trains.
Simon
we love
Kinberg,
truck convoys. Like, that's what we love in X-Men.
Like,
apparently,
Simon Kinberg's love for modes of conveyance is so fucking weird to me. Like, it's so weird. There's a subway train that gets pulled out of the ground, like we said. Yep. There are trains. Like, they're fighting on
X
buses.
Drives a car at one point, which doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Oh, it's possible. But like, there's always these like modes of conveyance. Like, he is really obsessed with it. I'm like, dude, I don't know.
He loves public transportation.
He's a huge advocate of public transportation.
He is a big fan of the MTA.
Yeah, he really is.
Just big fan. But yeah, so we're on the train, and of course, like, Professor X, like, even without their powers, like, they hear noises outside. They know what's coming, and they're like, "Listen, you need to let us go, because you need us to fight these people that are coming."
Right. These random Groot-like aliens that show up.
And of course, all of the human soldiers are like, "Fuck you, Mutie. We've been waiting on this day. We have just been biding our time to lock you in a collar again. Oh my God, we're so happy."
And they get their asses kicked.
Yeah.
Like, pretty easily, actually.
They get destroyed. I mean, here's the thing. I don't even remember how their collars got taken off.
No, the one of the military guys, like, after a bunch of the guys get slaughtered, one of the military guys is like, "I'm just gonna hit this button." Okay. And then they all get out, and then they fight alongside them. But like we said, like, some of the characters get killed, some of the bad guys get killed with the 50 cal gun that the military folks have. Yeah. Oh, and then other ones are taking point blank shots to the head with a handgun and just not die.
And that's another thing. So there's a helicopter that is shooting 50 cal rounds at all of these.
Yes.
None of the rounds go into the train.
No, they're all just skimming the top and hitting.
Not people. A single round goes into this train. Again, not a firearms expert. I'm not. But I know that if you shoot a 50 cal from 50 feet away at a metal train, it is going to slice and dice through that train like there is no tomorrow.
There's just the level of logic or lack thereof is crazy. It's crazy. And it would have made for an interesting situation of the X-Men fighting these random Dabari, but like every once in a while they've got to dodge bullets because their bullets coming in. Right. Like, that would have made the scene more dynamic. But no, it's not dynamic. It's bad guys coming this way on the train, good guys going this way on the train. They meet and it's just like, and then they fall down. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah. And there's also there is just an unknown number of Dabari also. Because
it always just seems like there's like 30 more.
Yeah, they're constantly being shown being just chopped off the train left and right. They're being shot on top of the train. They're falling off. They're dying. But then every time they show the train from the outside, there's 15 more of them.
No, they just respawn.
It's like, wait, what? I feel like some of you should be gone. Like, I feel like at some point, we should get to the end, right? Like, because it's a moving train. Like, you can't just keep showing up on top.
They're running and just jumping back onto the train.
It makes no sense.
Right.
But yeah, so, and again, Jess Chastain, she's the main Dabari. There's a black gentleman who, whatever. His name, according to IMDb, is Jones. It's never said in the movie. So
he's Jones
I have
Dabari.
no idea who that is.
Jones Dabari.
He's an alien named whatever. Sure. Makes no sense.
Sure.
It's like Venom choosing Venom. Like, it's
why
an
would you
alien.
choose that name?
Why would you be Venom? That makes no sense. Why would you have an English whatever? Doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't matter because his name's not Jones. His name is like the random black henchman. That's who he really is. Honestly, also at first, I really thought it was the same actor who played Darwin.
That's 100% what I thought. I was like,
no, we're not doing this.
I was like, they're going to bring Darwin back? Oh boy.
Like, we're not just randomly bringing this guy back to play another character. That doesn't make any sense.
They should. No, fuck it. It should have been Darwin. Fuck it. Who cares?
But yeah. So and again, his powers are really ambiguous because he is just taking bullets off the dome left and right. But he just keeps coming and like healing himself. Like it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But he's leading the charge on the ground. Jessica Chastain shows up after, like, she's just the laziest. Like,
yeah, she just kind of shows up at the end.
Also, at this point, so in the previous battle, she had taken part of the Phoenix Force into her,
right?
Because that is one thing that is consistent with her powers. She can absorb powers. Like, she's shown absorbing Storm's lightning and shooting it back at her during this train fight, which... Okay.
None of the other Dabari can do that.
No.
Just her.
No, it's really weird. It's as though... And I get it, because there are races of aliens in the Marvel Universe where some of them have certain powers, some of them... just like the Skrulls are a perfect example. The Super Skrull has a bunch of shit, and everyone else has other stuff.
Right.
But it makes no sense whatsoever that she can absorb powers. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but whatever, she can. So she has part of the Phoenix Force in her, which, again, doesn't make any sense because that's just not how the Phoenix Force works.
Well, I mean, it can be split. I mean, like the Phoenix Five.
It can be split, but you can't just split it because you want to split it.
Right. Like, that's not how it works. Like, but my question is, if she can absorb the Phoenix Force, why didn't they just get the Phoenix Force from the jump? Just go into space and be like, go outside. Yeah. Just throw her outside.
Yeah.
I don't know. No. But I just found that to be weird.
Yeah.
But where I compared it to Venom was there's a moment where Professor X is talking to Jean. He's like in her head and she's all fucking strapped down and shit. Mm-hmm. And he's like, look, my bad about building the walls inside your head and all that shit. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, yeah. We're cool. Sorry that your dad's been alive this entire time and I just didn't bother. They just didn't bother telling you, which I get it. That
made sense.
Dad didn't want her.
Right.
So I get why he did it.
Sure.
But again, going back to Professor X is a scumbag. Yeah, he's a scumbag. That's just who he is.
Yeah. And so they eventually make up inside his head. Yeah. And he's like, do you know what you need to do? And she's like, yes, I need to save my family. And then so she wakes up and then she proceeds to put these magic bubbles around all of the X-Men and then just wreck the fucking train and killing everyone else.
Well, don't forget the part where Magneto just crumpled like 3 train cars
that was kind of dope.
Nowhere. It was dope. Yeah. It was dope. And also, so there is one... Which, it's my girl Celine. Yeah. It was hilarious. Like, to the point where we both laughed.
Yeah, it was
super hard.
It was funny.
She is standing by the train door that is open, and some dude just, like, grabs her by the head and just fucking chucks her out in the woods.
She was like, I just beat that guy. I was like, boop.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, okay. We're doing this. But yeah, Magneto crumples part of the train, destroys that. Jean Grey puts bubbles around her friends, whatever.
Saves all of them.
And then, like goes and, like, grabs Jessica Chastain and takes her up into the fucking atmosphere, whatever.
Yeah.
And then
they have a CGI.
Yeah, and then they have like a fight? CGI kind of fight, but not really a fight. It's really just Jean Grey exploding the Phoenix Force.
Yeah. And then like the rest of it is just like there's a moment where she has to fight a bunch of other Dabari. It's not interesting. They run at her and she's just like, meh, and then she beats them. And like that's the end of the movie. And then the thing that really pissed me off, another Simon Kinberg ripoff. He ripped off the ending to The Dark Knight Rises. Mm-hmm. He has Professor X retired to Paris, and he's sitting there at a cafe, and here comes fucking Magneto, and he's like, hey, buddy, you want to play some chess? And it's cool, and then you see the fucking Phoenix Force go by in the sky, and it's like, the ending! All the heroes have retired, or the main hero has retired. Professor X is retired. Like, dude, it's not like you out there fighting. He retires. Beast becomes headmaster of the school. It's now the Jean Grey school of mutants.
Offensive.
Well, it's offensive because all the kids were like, yo, didn't Jean Grey kill Mystique? They know that. Yeah. And meanwhile, they're like, fuck it. She's the name of the school. No!
Yeah, no. And again, so the Dark Knight Rises ending ripoff, which again, if you're going to rip off a Chris Nolan movie, at least like rip off one of the good ones.
Right, like don't rip that ending off.
Like rip off one of the, come on, let's go for one of the good ones. But to the point where when you see Professor X's back at the cafe, which by the way, he's, unless I just forgot, I'm pretty sure he's sitting in a normal chair. Like he's not even in his wheelchair. I don't think.
I don't know.
Which
at that point, my brain was mush.
Like makes no sense. What did the waitress put him in a chair? Like it makes no sense.
He was just like.
But to the point where when you see that, I leaned over to you and I said, is he gonna fucking do like? Is this Dark Knight Rises? Is that what's happening? Like, is he about to like see Jean Grey sitting in a cafe? Like hey, like is that what's about to happen here? Like, that's what it felt like. It's so obvious that like
he ripped it
like what you're doing.
He completely
and yeah, then like, but again. For your own movies, it doesn't make any sense because at the end of Days of Future Past, you see all of them in the future at the fucking school, and Professor X is still there running it.
So that probably happens like 6 months from now.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't make any sense even in your own universe.
Well, no, I guess that would be significantly into the future, right? Because that would have been after 2000. Okay,
cool. So he comes out of retirement to go back to the school.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah, that's
so in 2000. Fuck yeah! So 8 years from now,
he's like
he took an 8-year break.
Sabbatical.
That's it. Like okay, and so 8 years from now, Professor X is back running the school, and Beast is a senator,
and Magneto evil again.
Yeah, what? I mean,
he became evil.
Not only evil again, but look 70. Like
that was a rough 8 years.
This makes no sense.
I can't tell you how happy I am that this series is over,
dude. I said in the fan group going into it that I hoped that there was a post-credit sequence that was just Kevin Feige coming out and setting everyone's contract on fire.
He should have. This is all over. Go home.
And that didn't happen, of course. But I choose to believe that Kevin Feige did that in the privacy of his own home.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Like,
he was like James McAvoy.
And I choose to believe that he FaceTimed Alexander Shipp as he did it, just to drive the point home that you are done here.
Yeah.
You will never be back. Yeah. You can go maybe join the DC universe. I don't care.
Yeah. Surely there's a weather witch that you can play for them.
But yeah, it was horrible. Again, so the ending, you see the Phoenix flash so once it explodes, you see a Phoenix flash in space, and it's just like, fuck you didn't earn this, whatever.
Right.
And then after the cafe thing, you see like the Phoenix flash like flying, like it's like skywriting. Right. Like it's like someone paid a plane to go skywrite the Phoenix flash. And it's like
really obvious.
And it's just like, why? Like, if you had more movies to make, sure, do that. Right. That makes sense because you're coming back and doing another thing. Sure, absolutely. It's like the Phoenix Flash at the end of X2.
That made sense.
When you know, okay, cool. So they're paying homage, they're doing a thing, even though in retrospect, fuck that.
Yeah.
But there is no sense in doing that in this movie because we are never, ever going to see any of these people play these characters ever again.
Good.
Like, we're never going to see it. And it does It does suck to an extent because I do think that Sophie Turner kind of came into her own as Jean Grey in this movie. She did a good job. James McAvoy, again, did a really good job as Professor X, like to the point where even you were like, I actually really liked him. I actually really liked him in this. For the first time, I thought he did a good job. Michael Fassbender turns in a performance that this movie does not deserve.
It never did. It never did.
And
they don't deserve you, Michael.
No. And Ty Sheridan, again, and I say this as someone, I hate Cyclops. Like, I legitimately hate him. Right. I have never liked his character. I kind of like him once he became, like, a terrorist in the later years, in the Michael Bendis years. I was like, Cyclops got a point. He's a terrorist now. That's fine. Like, honestly, him killing Professor X, a lot of people were like, oh, that's bullshit. He shouldn't have done that.
No, he probably should have done that.
No, I supported it. I supported it. I was fine with it. I'm still fine with it. But I don't like the character of Cyclops in general, and I don't think Fox has ever, like,
they've never gotten
even the animated show. They didn't do a good job with Cyclops. They damn sure have not done a good job with James Marsden, even though he would have been a great Cyclops.
Yeah, he actually would have been. Like that.
And I think that Ty Sheridan is not a completely terrible actor, and he probably could have done a better job with better scripts. I thought he did a pretty decent job as Cyclops here.
Yeah, that was all right.
But again, none of these characters ever coming back with these people, and that's totally fine because the actors don't deserve it. They don't deserve to be put into these roles again because, like, I mean, and I know I joked to you before, I was like, man, I really hope that, like, people being mad at Game of Thrones in this movie doesn't, like, ruin Sophie Turner's career for a little while.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, she doesn't have shit booked. Like, I don't think she has anything coming out of this. I hope that people don't watch this movie and, conflate it with their anger over Game of Thrones, which I think is completely unjustified because I love Game of Thrones and I loved how it ended and everyone that hated it can suck a dick. But
she does have a movie coming out.
Oh, she does? Okay, cool. Who cares? But I hope that the stank of this movie doesn't ruin these actors' career. Just like I hope that the stank of New Mutants, which I need to see that movie, Kevin Feige. I need to see it. I need to see it. Put it on Hulu. Put it on Hulu tomorrow. Listen, these reshoots, they're never happening. Do New Mutants. Put it on Hulu. I don't care. Yeah. I need to see it. It's my favorite comic book property. It's my favorite mutant. I know they're going to ruin magic. I don't care.
Everyone's going to ruin them.
I want to see it. And again, I hope that movie doesn't ruin those actors' carears. Like, because it's got a lot of really good actors in it.
And that's the thing is, I don't think it will. I don't think so. I think Sophie Turner is going to be fine. But I will say, I was impressed by, again, like, her role here is not great just because she's not given really great things to work with. But I thought she was good in what she was given.
And again, going back to wrestling parlance, it's a wrestling term, make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Right.
She did, it's like an unseasoned chicken salad that she made out of this chicken shit movie.
Right.
It's a very white chicken salad. Like, there's probably, like, some raisins ingredients in there that, like,
there's definitely raisins in it.
You're like, why is this there? I don't, like, paprika? Have you ever heard of it? No. I don't know. Whatever. Right. But she did her best. Like, she did her best to try to turn this movie into something that didn't completely suck. And that's her performance in this movie is the only reason why I put it above Apocalypse. Because
that's fair.
Because her in Apocalypse, she's terrible in Apocalypse.
No, she's awful.
And in fairness, everyone is terrible in Apocalypse.
That is correct.
Like, no one's good in that movie. But her performance and Fassbender and McAvoy, that triumvirate of, like, actually seeming to care about what's going on in this movie, that's the only reason why I'll put it above Apocalypse. Because no one in Apocalypse gave a shit. Nobody.
No
one cared in that
including
movie.
Me.
No,
especially not.
Me. Again, I have tried to watch that movie 3 times. I have yet to make it through without falling asleep. To this movie's credit, I did not fall asleep, and I had 2.5 hours of sleep and an 11-hour car ride going into this movie, and I still stayed awake the entire time. Apocalypse, I have tried to watch that movie on full sleep. Yeah. In fact, I just did it like 4 days ago to go into this movie because I hate myself.
Yeah.
But I did it. I fell asleep twice during the 3rd act battle. The part that should be the most interesting.
Ugh.
I fell asleep twice during that battle, to the point where I didn't see the Phoenix Flare because I was asleep.
No, that's fair.
I was knocked out cold during the Phoenix Flare.
Yeah,
I was knocked out cold whenever Psylocke did her stupid psychic blade through the car, which
it looks
whatever.
horrible.
It was terrible. But I was asleep for all of that. But yeah, this movie, again, it doesn't take your time for granted in the sense that, like, you know, you're not checking your watch like, oh my God, when is this movie over?
No. I mean,
it's just really boring.
It's boring, but it does move at a clip. Like, it does.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have to give any positives to it, I would say that you didn't feel like I felt like I wasted 2 hours of my time. I just didn't feel like I was being driven crazy for 2 hours of my time.
Yeah, it's not like Venom where you're like checking your watch 5 times.
Oh,
like,
I did. Like, this is a bad movie.
Is this movie almost over? Like, what is why is this movie still going on?
Yeah.
Like,
it was moving quickly.
Yeah,
and
it's not like
still
that.
bad.
And it's, you know, I just checked just to make sure that I had an official time on it. So it's an hour 53.
Yeah, it's just
so. I mean, really, like with credits, I mean, it's probably like an hour 45.
Yeah,
like really of actual movie time. And you know what? Thank you. Like, the one thing that you did right on your way out, Fox, is you didn't make some 2.5 hour slog of a movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that cut probably exists. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that is probably...
I don't want to hear any hashtags release the Kim Burke cut. No, you can keep that.
Nope.
You can keep it.
Yeah. So much like with the DC universe and with Venom, if I hear you defend this movie... Not only we're done. Like, we're done as people. We are done. If we're friends, we're done. We are not friends anymore. Like,
I'm not having arguments about this movie.
I will not entertain an argument over this movie whatsoever. Not even a little bit. Not even like to troll you or anything. I will not discuss this movie with you unless it is, wow, this movie is bad. I might fist fight you. Like, if you say this movie is good, I might fist fight you. Like, because it's not.
I don't know a better way to end it. I'm going to end it there. Cam's going to come to your house. Yeah. He's going to drive 11 hours and he's going to fist fight you. That's why I had to say what I had to say, because I was scared. All right, that is it for us for the spoiler review. Obviously, you can watch the non-spoiler review that is up as well. Make sure you subscribe to the Coming Distractions podcast feed for just the audio versions of all of these reviews. Or if you're listening via that feed right now, you can watch the video versions of each of these reviews by going to youtube.com/the Nerdpocalypse. They are all there. And we will see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye. You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.